Stop scrolling. This isn't just another message. This is a divine alert. Chosen one. Take a breath. What you're about to hear isn't random. It's a direct call to your spirit. If this message has found you, know this. Heaven orchestrated it. You didn't stumble here by accident. God led you right to this moment because something is shifting, and it's bigger than you think. Let me ask you, have you felt it lately? That quiet tension in the air? Like something unseen is moving, preparing to reveal itself? That's because it is. The coming days, they aren't ordinary. They're crucial. Not just for you, but for your entire family, for generations connected to your name. There's a divine setup unfolding, and you're at the center of it. But here's the truth most won't tell you. Being chosen doesn't mean sitting still. It means being prepared when God starts moving. And trust me, He's already moving. Before this video ends, you'll understand why your next steps will shape more than just your life. They'll shape a legacy. So lean in. Don't let distraction steal this moment from you. What's coming requires your full attention and your faith in action. Now, before we dive deeper, if your spirit is already resonating, pause for just a second. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and drop 666 in the comments. Not just because it helps this message reach more chosen ones, but because it's your declaration. A signal that you're ready to align with what heaven is unfolding in your life. Remember, only those who stay connected and attentive will catch the fullness of what God is revealing right now. This isn't surface-level inspiration, this is a prophetic activation. So stay with me, because in a few minutes you'll see why your family's future depends on how you respond in this very season. You've prayed for change. You've waited for breakthrough. Well, it's here. But the question is, are you ready to carry what's coming? Let's talk about it. Part 1. Why you were chosen for this moment. Chosen one. Have you ever wondered why you carry weight that no one else seems to notice? Why you feel responsible for battles that aren't even yours? It's like you've been fighting invisible wars, silently, faithfully, while everyone around you just lives as if nothing's happening. Let me tell you something that your soul already knows, but maybe no one has ever said out loud. You were placed in your family on purpose, not by chance, not by coincidence, but by divine strategy. See, God doesn't make random moves. He positions His strongest warriors where they're needed most, and sometimes that means being born into a family that feels heavy, a family with wounds no one talks about, cycles no one dares to break. But He sent you because He knew you wouldn't stay silent forever. You've probably asked yourself, why do I see things differently? Why can't I just ignore the dysfunction like everyone else? Why do I feel called to fix what's been broken for generations? Here's why. Because you were never meant to blend in. You were born to shift the atmosphere. You feel those burdens because God trusted you with them, not to crush you, but to transform you, to awaken something in you that would refuse to let the pain continue unchecked. Think about it. How many times have you felt isolated, misunderstood, even by your own blood? How many moments have you swallowed your emotions because explaining them felt pointless? That's not weakness. That's the mark of someone carrying a spiritual assignment far greater than the people around them can comprehend. But here's where it gets powerful. While they were watching you struggle in silence, God was watching you grow in strength. Every unseen tear, every prayer whispered in the dark, every time you chose to rise when it would have been easier to give up, heaven was keeping record. You've been walking through a divine training ground, and now the reason for your placement is about to be revealed. Let me ask you this. What if those battles you fought weren't just about survival? What if they were about positioning you for leadership, for legacy, for a breakthrough that doesn't just free you, but frees everyone connected to you? Because soon, very soon, you'll see how your silent endurance becomes public elevation. I know it's been heavy. I know there were days when you questioned if being chosen was even a blessing at all. But hear me, God never wastes a burden. If He allowed you to feel the weight, it's because He designed you to carry the authority that comes after lifting it. You weren't chosen to suffer. You were chosen to shift, to heal, to lead. And yes, sometimes that means being the only one awake in a room full of spiritually asleep people. But that's exactly why the blessing starts with you. Look around. The very family that didn't understand you, the ones who questioned your path, will soon witness the reason God set you apart. Because when God moves, and He's about to, it won't just change your life. It'll send shockwaves through your entire bloodline. But here's the key. You must stay aligned. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't dim your light, because they don't see the full picture yet. They weren't given your vision for a reason. You were, and that vision is about to manifest. So next time you feel the weight of responsibility pressing on your shoulders, remind yourself, this isn't just pressure, it's purpose. You're carrying the blueprint for generational freedom. And trust me, the same family that didn't see your silent battles will soon celebrate your visible victories. But we're not done yet, because understanding why you were chosen is only the beginning. The real question is, what's coming next? Stay with me, because in a moment, I'll reveal the subtle signs that a divine shift is already unfolding around you, and how to make sure you don't miss it. Let's keep going. Part 2. The Coming Shift. Signs to watch for. Chosen one. Let me ask you something that might challenge how you've been thinking. Would you recognize a miracle if it didn't look like what you prayed for? Think about that for a moment. We often expect God to answer our prayers in bold, unmistakable ways, doors flying open, instant breakthroughs, clear signs in flashing lights. But what if I told you that some of the greatest moves of God start quietly, subtly, almost unnoticeably? You see, divine shifts rarely announce themselves with fanfare. They come wrapped in ordinary moments. They show up disguised as small conversations, unexpected delays, sudden ideas, or even closed doors. And here's where many people, yes, even the chosen ones, miss it. Pattern interrupt. Listen carefully. This right here is where most people lose their blessing. Not because God didn't move, but because they didn't recognize when He did. How many times have you dismissed a moment because it felt too small to matter? How often have you overlooked an inconvenience, not realizing it was divine redirection? You prayed for acceleration, but when the shift began, it didn't look like a green light. It looked like a detour. Let me give you something real. Maybe you lost a job recently. Maybe a relationship ended. Maybe an opportunity you were counting on suddenly slipped through your fingers. At first glance, it feels like rejection, like setback. But what if that closed door was actually God's protection? What if that delay was designed to position you for something greater, something you couldn't yet see? Chosen one, you need to understand this truth. God's shifts often come disguised as disruptions. Look back on your life for a second. How many times did something fall apart, only for you to later realize it was falling into place? How many moments felt like endings, but were actually divine beginnings? That's the nature of spiritual movement. It starts beneath the surface. It's like a seed planted in the ground. You don't see the roots growing. You don't hear the soil shifting. But that doesn't mean nothing's happening. In fact, that hidden growth is the most important part. And right now, whether you feel it or not, the shift has already begun in your life. But here's where spiritual maturity comes in. You have to stay alert, because if you're only looking for fireworks, you'll miss the quiet spark that starts it all. Let me give you a modern-day example. Maybe someone unexpected reaches out to you, someone you haven't spoken to in years. It feels random, right? But that one conversation could be the connection God uses to unlock your next opportunity. Or perhaps you've been feeling unusually restless lately, like you're being pushed out of your comfort zone. That discomfort? It's not punishment. It's preparation. God stirs your spirit when He's about to move your position. So let me provoke your thinking again. Are you paying attention to the small shifts? Or are you so focused on the finish line that you're ignoring the signs along the path? Because here's the truth. Miracles often arrive in pieces, not packages. A thought that won't leave your mind. A sudden clarity about a decision you've been delaying. A door closing without explanation. These are not coincidences. They're breadcrumbs from heaven, guiding you toward alignment. But you must be spiritually awake to follow them. Too many people pray for change but reject the very process that brings it. They want the blessing, but they resist the shift. Why? Because shifts are uncomfortable. They stretch you. They challenge your patience. They require faith in moments where nothing makes sense. Chosen one, don't let discomfort blind you to divine movement. God doesn't always send the answer in the package you expected. Sometimes, He sends it wrapped in what feels like confusion, because that's where faith is refined. So here's what I want you to do in this season. Start looking deeper. When something changes unexpectedly, don't rush to label it bad or good. Ask yourself, is this God repositioning me? Is this the beginning of the very thing I asked for, just in a form I didn't recognize? Because when you start seeing through spiritual eyes, you'll realize that delay, it's direction. That rejection, it's redirection. That loss, it's making room for gain. And here's the beautiful part. Once you recognize the shift, you can partner with it. You stop resisting. You start aligning. And when alignment happens, acceleration follows. So stay alert, chosen one. Pay attention to the small things this week. The conversations, the opportunities that seem too simple to matter, the sudden urges to move in a new direction. God is speaking, but He's whispering in the details. And in just a moment, we're going to talk about the real reason why this shift isn't just about you. It's about healing, restoring, and elevating your entire family. So stay with me, because what's coming next will explain why you were chosen to be the bridge for generational transformation. Let's keep going. Part 3. Generational Healing and Restoration. Chosen one. Let's get real for a moment. This shift that's happening, it was never just about you. It feels personal because you're the one carrying it. You're the one feeling the weight, the responsibility, the spiritual pressure. But what God is doing through you, it's generational. Have you noticed that you've always been different from your family? Not better, just different. You see patterns they don't see. You feel the pain no one talks about. You sense the undercurrent of brokenness that others have simply learned to live with. Why is that? Because God didn't send you into that family to blend in. He sent you to break through. You are the one He chose to stop the cycles that have run unchecked for years, maybe even decades or generations. Let me ask you something powerful. What if the battles you're fighting today are the ones your ancestors didn't have the strength or the awareness to fight? What if God trusted you to be the one who says, "It ends here. It ends with me"? I know that's a heavy calling, but hear me. You were built for this. You see, families often pass down more than just physical traits or traditions. They pass down wounds. They pass down silence where there should have been healing. They pass down fear, scarcity mindsets, anger, unforgiveness, because no one knew how to confront it. Until now. Until you. Chosen one, you weren't placed in that bloodline by accident. You are the bridge between what was broken and what God is restoring. And I know, it feels lonely. It feels like no one understands why you're different. Some of your family may even reject the changes in you. They may mock your faith, question your choices, or distance themselves because your growth exposes their comfort zones. But don't let that discourage you. Remember, God often starts with one before he transforms many. Think about Moses. Think about Joseph. God raised up one person to lead entire generations into freedom, restoration, and purpose. And now he's doing the same with you. You are carrying a blueprint that your family doesn't even realize they need yet. While they're focused on surviving, God is using you to introduce them to thriving. But here's something you need to know. This healing won't always come through big conversations or dramatic reconciliations. Sometimes the greatest restoration happens when you simply live differently, when you walk in peace while others cling to chaos, when you choose forgiveness instead of holding grudges, when you break patterns quietly by refusing to repeat them. Your life becomes the evidence. Your joy, your growth, your favor, these will speak louder than any words ever could. And slowly, hearts will begin to soften. That sibling who never understood you, that parent who dismissed your faith, that cousin who thought you were too spiritual, they'll start to notice something they can't explain. Not because you forced it, but because God's light shines brightest through those who simply stay faithful. But let me give you this warning, chosen one. Restoration is messy before it's beautiful. When God starts mending what's been broken for years, things can feel unstable. Old wounds resurface. Hidden tensions get exposed. It might feel like things are getting worse before they get better. Don't panic. That's just part of the healing process. God isn't breaking your family apart. He's breaking down the walls that kept them bound. So when conversations get uncomfortable, when emotions rise, when people pull away temporarily, stay grounded. Remember, you're not responsible for forcing healing. You're responsible for creating space where healing can happen. Keep showing up in love. Keep praying, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Because beneath the surface, God is working on hearts in ways you can't see. And here's the beautiful promise. What God restores, He restores better. He's not just patching things up. He's rebuilding your family from the inside out, on a foundation of truth, love, and divine purpose. That bitterness that's lingered for years, it's going to turn into understanding. The silence that's kept people distant, it's going to be replaced by conversations filled with grace. The fear that's held your family back, God is replacing it with boldness and faith. But it starts with you staying obedient to your calling, even when it feels like you're walking alone. Because you're not alone. Heaven is backing you. Every step you take toward healing is a step God multiplies in ways you can't imagine. And soon, the very people who didn't understand your journey will be thanking you for not giving up. They'll see that your prayers weren't in vain, that your decision to walk differently was the doorway to their freedom too. So stay patient, stay loving, and above all, stay aligned with God's timing. Because when this restoration fully unfolds, it will be clear to everyone. God was in it all along. Now, stay with me. Because in the next part, we're going to talk about something critical. How to align yourself right now so you don't miss what God is about to release. Because the window is opening, and preparation is everything. Let's keep going. Part 4, Aligning with Divine Timing, 900 words. Chosen one. Let me tell you something that could change how you approach this next season of your life. God's blessing isn't just about His promise, it's about your preparation. It doesn't matter how big the breakthrough is. If you're not aligned when it arrives, you won't be ready to carry it. You've probably heard this before. God's timing is perfect. And it is. But here's the part many people miss. Are you in sync with that timing? See, God can open a door. But if you're distracted, doubting, or spiritually out of position, you'll hesitate. You'll question. Or worse, you'll miss it altogether. Let me ask you, if God gave you exactly what you've been praying for today, would you be ready to steward it? Not just receive it, but maintain it, grow it, and honor it? Because blessings aren't just gifts, they're responsibilities. That's why alignment is so important right now. You're standing in front of a divine window, chosen one. the kind of window that doesn't stay open forever. The shift is happening. Opportunities are being released. But preparation is what determines if you walk through that door with confidence or if you watch it close, wondering what happened. Here's the truth. Alignment isn't about perfection. It's about positioning. God isn't asking you to have everything figured out. He's asking you to be available, attentive, and obedient. Let me give you a real example. Think of David. When God was ready to anoint a king, David wasn't in the palace. He wasn't campaigning for attention. He was in the field, aligned with his purpose, even when no one was watching. Because alignment happens in the unseen long before it's rewarded in the open. So, what does alignment look like for you right now in this crucial season? It's simpler and more powerful than you think. 1. Clear your mind of clutter. Distraction is the enemy of divine timing. If your mind is filled with worry, comparison, or fear, you'll miss the subtle nudges God is sending. Start by creating space for clarity. Silence the noise. Spend time in reflection and prayer, not just talking, but listening. Provocative question for you. When was the last time you truly sat in silence and asked God, "What do you need me to notice today?" 2. Guard your environment. Who you surround yourself with in this season matters more than ever. Some voices will fuel your faith. Others will feed your doubt. Alignment requires discernment, knowing which conversations to engage in and which ones to walk away from. Ask yourself, is this person pulling me closer to purpose or distracting me from it? 3. Stay obedient in the small things. God often tests your readiness through simple instructions. It could be a prompting to forgive someone, to let go of a habit, or to step into a role that feels uncomfortable. These small acts of obedience are what align you for the bigger blessings. Remember, David was faithful with sheep before he was trusted with a kingdom. 4. Keep your faith active. Alignment isn't passive. It's not waiting around, hoping something happens. It's preparing like you know it's coming. It's praying with expectation. It's making room in your life for the blessing before it arrives. If you're praying for a financial breakthrough, are you learning how to manage what you have now? If you're asking for restored relationships, are you working on healing your own heart first? Faith without preparation is just wishful thinking. Now, let me give you a warning. The enemy knows when you're close to alignment, and that's when distractions, doubts, and delays will show up the most. You'll start to question if you heard God correctly. You'll feel tempted to rush ahead or give up entirely. But hear me clearly. Don't move ahead of God, and don't lag behind Him either. Divine timing isn't just about waiting. It's about walking in step with heaven's pace. Sometimes that means being still. Other times it means moving when it feels uncomfortable. But it always requires trust. Let me ask you, are you willing to trust God's pace, even when it doesn't match your expectations? Because here's the beauty of alignment. When you're in sync with God, things that once felt hard suddenly flow. Doors open without force. Opportunities find you instead of you chasing them. Peace becomes your compass, even when the path isn't fully visible. Chosen one. This is where you need to be, not anxious, but aligned. Not striving, but surrendered. Not fearful of missing out, but confident that what's meant for you will never pass you by if you stay in position. So today, make this your focus. Clear your space. Guard your spirit. Stay obedient. And activate your faith like the blessing is already on its way. Tsuan. Because it is. And in the next few days, you're going to start seeing confirmation. Little signs that let you know God's timing is unfolding right on schedule. But stay with me. because what I'm about to share next will reveal how this alignment leads to something even greater. An overflow that doesn't stop with you, but pours into everyone connected to your life. Let's keep going. Part 5. The Overflow. Blessings Beyond You. Chosen one. Let's shift your perspective for a moment. You've been praying for breakthrough. You've been asking God for answers, for doors to open, for burdens to lift. And yes, those things are coming. But I need you to understand something deeper. The blessing God is releasing isn't meant to stop with you. When God moves, He moves in overflow. He's not a God of just enough. He's a God of abundance, of more than you asked, more than you imagined, more than you thought you deserved. But here's the key. Overflow is always designed to spill into the lives of others. You weren't chosen just to be blessed. You were chosen to become a conduit, a vessel through which God's goodness reaches everyone connected to you. Think about it. Why do you think the enemy fought you so hard? Why do you think the battles felt so intense, so personal, so relentless? Because it was never just about you. It was about the people who would experience freedom, healing, and hope because of what God is doing through you. Let me ask you, have you considered that your breakthrough is someone else's answered prayer? That when God elevates you financially, emotionally, spiritually, He's positioning you to be the proof that His promises are real? There's someone in your family, maybe even a friend or a stranger watching from a distance, who needs to see what God can do. Not hear about it, not read about it, but witness it in your life. That's the power of overflow. It turns your personal testimony into a generational impact. Remember this. When God blessed Abraham, He didn't say, "I will bless you, and that's it." No. He said, "I will bless you, and you will be a blessing to others." Chosen one, that same principle applies to you today. The favor that's coming isn't just for your comfort, it's for your calling. It's so you can be the light in dark places. So you can extend grace where there's been bitterness. So you can provide where there's been lack, not just materially, but emotionally and spiritually. But here's something important. To handle overflow, you need a mindset shift. You can't think small and expect God to pour out big blessings. You can't cling to a survival mentality when God is calling you to steward abundance. This is where many people miss it. They pray for more, but when more comes, they treat it like it's just for them. And just like that, the flow stops. Because God's blessings are designed to move through you, not just to you. So today, I want you to start asking a different question. Not just, when will my breakthrough come? But, how can I be ready to carry it for the sake of others? Because when you show God that He can trust you with overflow, that you'll use it to uplift, to heal, to inspire, that's when He releases even more. Here's what overflow looks like. It's peace in your heart that calms the storms in others. It's wisdom gained from your trials that guides someone else out of theirs. It's financial blessing that allows you to be the answer to someone's need without hesitation. It's love so deep that it restores relationships you thought were beyond repair. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to force this. You simply need to stay aligned, stay obedient, and keep your hands open. God will direct where the overflow needs to go. He'll show you who needs that encouraging word, that helping hand, that silent prayer. And as you pour out, He'll keep refilling. Because that's the nature of divine abundance. It never runs dry when it flows with purpose. Chosen one, you're about to step into a season where blessings will chase you down, where doors will open, not because you knocked, but because heaven commanded them to. But always remember, this isn't just about elevation, it's about assignment. God is positioning you as a beacon, not just so people can admire the light, but so they can find their way because of it. So as the overflow begins, and it will, stay humble, Stay generous. Stay available. Because through you, God is about to touch lives you didn't even know were watching. And that's how legacy is built. Now stay with me. Because in this final activation, we're going to talk about how to step boldly into position and ensure you never miss what God is releasing in this sacred season. Let's finish strong. Chosen one. You've heard the message. You've felt the stirring in your spirit. Now it's time for action. This is not the season to wait and wonder. This is the season to stand and step forward. God has already set things in motion. The shift isn't coming. It's here. The only question left is, are you in position to receive it? See, too many people hear prophetic words. They feel encouraged for a moment, but then they go back to life as usual, waiting for God to do everything. But you're different. You're chosen. And with that comes responsibility. Let me remind you, faith isn't just belief. Faith is movement. It's getting your house in order because you know the blessing is near. It's preparing your heart, your mind, and even your daily habits to align with the future God is unlocking for you. I need you to hear this clearly. This isn't just about one breakthrough. This is about setting a foundation for generational change. Everything you do right now, every decision, every act of obedience is building a legacy. A spiritual blueprint that your children, your family, and even people you haven't met yet will benefit from. That's why the enemy has tried so hard to distract you, delay you, and discourage you. Because he knows, once you step fully into position, there's no stopping what God will release through your life. Let me ask you, what would your life look like if you stopped hesitating and fully trusted that heaven is backing you? How would you wake up tomorrow if you truly believed that God's favor is already surrounding your household? Would you carry yourself differently? Would you speak differently? Would you pray bolder prayers, take bolder steps? Because that's exactly what this season requires. Boldness rooted in faith. This is not the time to second-guess yourself. God has confirmed His word to you over and over again. You've seen the signs. You've felt the shift. Now it's about walking like it's already done. And here's something powerful I want you to declare today. I am in position. I am aligned. I am ready for the overflow. If that resonates with your spirit, I want you to drop 999 in the comments right now. Not just as a number, but as a prophetic declaration. Because 999 symbolizes completion, the end of old cycles and the beginning of divine fulfillment. Let heaven and earth see that you're ready to step into what's been prepared for you all along. Chosen one, hear me. This is more than encouragement. This is a call to activation. You've prayed, you've waited, you've endured. Now it's time to move with purpose. Position yourself in faith. Speak life over your situation. Prepare your home, your heart, and your mind for acceleration. Because when God moves, and He's moving now, it will happen quickly. What once felt delayed will suddenly appear. What once seemed impossible will become your reality. And when it does, remember this. It's not just for you. It's for every person connected to your obedience. Your rise is a signal, a beacon of hope, a testimony that God's promises are real, alive, and unstoppable. So, stand tall, walk boldly, and know the legacy begins with you. This is your prophetic activation. You're not waiting for the shift, you are the shift. Let's step into it together. And don't forget, comment 999 below if you're claiming this word over your life and your family today. The best is not coming, it's already unfolding.